Hello everyone, bit of a different video today. Not going to be a review, but it's talking about music charts to be precise, and comparing them to now to back in the day where, in my opinion, music was at its best, 70s and 80s, hence why I've got this channel. You know, it's not 90s, early 2000 reviews or 2010 reviews, it's 70s and 80s. Obviously I do go into them if it's 70s and 80s bands that are releasing new stuff now. But every now and again I will do something a bit different. So at the moment there's been a lot of talk in the press, what we want to call it, social media, about a certain song that has been in the charts at #1 for weeks on weeks. It's breaking records, you know, breaking records with a lot of artists who are massive, world-known artists, and it is an artist I like, I'm a fan of, I've seen many a times live, but it just made me think, how is this happening? Why is this song going on for such a long period of time? It is a good song, it's well written, it's catchy, it's popular, it definitely deserves to have been #1, it deserves to be staying at #1 for a long time. And it is Sam Fender's and Olivia Dean's Rein It In. I'm assuming it's still #1. I don't know, honestly, but yeah, it's been breaking records, it's been talked about. So it made me think. So obviously most of those viewings, listenings is streaming. Not many people are buying albums. It's coming back in. Started with vinyls, it's starting to go into CDs and tapes. I think it's died back off a bit, to be honest, though. But it's going off streams, individual listens. Now, I don't know the actual ins and outs of it, but I'm assuming it's not the case where if someone listens to it once, it's capped at that. I'm assuming every time somebody listens to it, plays it, doesn't even necessarily have to finish it, it gets counted as a listen, and that goes to the charts. Whereas back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, you would have to go to a record store to physically buy that single or album, and that is what would go towards the charts. You know, there was all that big thing waiting on a Friday, who's going to get the #1, who's going to do all that. Maybe a little bit like that now, but I don't think it's as much of a bigger thing. And again, why is that? Why is it not as a bigger deal as it was back then? I maybe have a theory. I don't know if it's right. It'd be interesting to see what other people's views are on it as well. So, surely there is more of a capacity now for anybody to listen to music, to access music, and therefore for them numbers to then go towards the charts. Whereas back in the day, a lot of people probably couldn't even afford to buy singles and albums for a start. It wasn't as accessible. And I remember there's people buying multiple singles, multiple albums, and this is 2000s. This, obviously I wasn't around 70s and 80s, just for that chart reason, because every one purchase counted. Whereas now it's every listen on a streaming service counts. It's so much more easily done. So my thoughts are, again, Rein Me In is a brilliant song, definitely deserves its success. I think Sam Fender's brilliant, I'm a big fan of him. But if you were to go back in 70s and 80s times to those artists and tell them what's going on now, would they argue that's not fair? Or artists who maybe didn't get the #1s, if they were in now times where it's streaming, let's forget that, you know, it's all this, mainly Sam Fender's an exception, this synthetically produced carbon copy after the other one after the other stuff that's nowadays. Let's say rock's still dominant, right? Okay, we'll dream for a bit. Would it have been more likely for them to now get a number one nowadays because of the streaming and the more listeners, more easily accessible than it was back in 70s and 80s? I think yes. I think that was the case. Also, when I was talking to this person about this, they made a good point, and I sort of agreed as well. Should streaming be included in the charts? Obviously, there's no getting away from it now, but if we could go back in time, I don't think it ever should have been. Because actually, maybe it's all the online world, isn't it? But say if that didn't happen, people would still be buying physical albums just because fans want to support the artists. And I think it would be a lot more of a, more accurate representation of actually someone's success. I think number ones back in the day, or chart success, how many albums were sold, is a lot more meaningful than it is now. Because often I see all these songs at number one and you think, why is that not number one? But it's that trend thing though, isn't it? So-and-so's talking about it, listen to it, so they do, and their mate does. And yes, that went back on the 70s and 80s, but not as much now because you've got social media and everyone talking about it, hashtags, trendings, and all that sort of stuff. Are they actually listening to those songs because they actually enjoy the music, they're actually fans, it is actually popular, they are listening to that song fully? Or is it just because, well, it's just a trend, people just following each other? Is it actually a real accuracy to show that a song is successful and it's really up there, it's going to stand the test of time? Is it? I maybe don't think it is, but I can't jump into the future and see if these songs are going to be still remembered and a thing in a household song, household album. Then I don't have a time machine. But there's definitely something in it, and I definitely think it's a musical conversation that can be had of actually how serious can we take charts these days, and especially comparing it back to the 70s and 80s songs and albums that did well. But also, if you look at a lot of them successful albums back in the day, we all know them now. We all know them. And it's because it's a true representation. There is some exceptions, I know. Because it's a true representation of how well and what a good produced, proper music, you know, people playing instruments, recording in a studio, not all done on a computer, somebody copy and paste and someone going do, you know. And some girl that can't sing and has been auto-tuned that much that she sounds like something from another planet, but apparently that's what's in at the moment. It's definitely a good thing that it's a Sam Fender song that is number one, because he is a good musician. He's got a really great band behind him, really good. So it could be worse. It could be one of these artists I'm talking about that are just all the same. But it just made me think. It's definitely deserving, that song, to be doing what it's doing, but it just did make me think about comparing charts to back then. But it'd be interesting to know what people's thoughts are on it. If you think it is as good as a marker now as it was back then, or if you think the same as me and you don't really think it is. But yeah, modern music is yeah, there is some gems, there is, but they're getting less and less because they can't be successful, because there's such a niche market now for music, and it is just all this. It's like even when you do get people that are putting songs out and are singing, you know, it's not auto-tuned or whatever. They're all singing in the same way, or they're just doing it. That's like on a plateau level. There's or they're trying to be that perfect. There's no originality. There's no emotions being actually really sung through their vocals. A lot of them, especially the female singers, seem to put on this tone, quirky tone, and they're putting it on. It's not actually how they sing. That's not original, isn't it? You're trying to be something you're not. So how can people really connect to your music and your lyrics if you're not actually being true to what you're singing about? I could go on and on about modern day singers. I really, really could. Or you only get the ones that just talk. They call it a song. No. Right, yo, so there's me little chat on charts and a bit on my thoughts and ideas about modern day singers. So hopefully the next video will be a bit cooler. I'll probably have a woolly jumper on instead of this vest top that I've got on. And yeah, so thanks for listening, everyone. Take care, and keep listening to proper music, please. Bye bye.